stay a while and listen.
I don't know how this is going to go.
Literally third time's the charm.
Third time's the charm. Fourth time may be the charm, too,
Maybe,
but we're going
I
to get
don't
this
know.
today. So we are 2 weeks removed from the Xbox Showcase. And I'm glad we waited 2 weeks because I had a lot of emotional opinions after the first, not like emotional, like, oh my God, this is taking up my whole life. Like that, but like I was
Not that invested.
Right. No, I'm not that invested. But at the same time, if we would have gone on air right after that, I would have said a lot of things I would have regretted because I didn't take time to think about it.
You probably would have hurt my feelings.
I probably would have hurt your feelings, and that's not what I'm here for, man. We agree on a lot of stuff, but I don't think we're going to agree on just about everything today.
Yeah.
But you know what? That's okay too. So essentially, just long story short, my overall opinion about the Xbox Showcase hasn't changed. I wasn't impressed.
Yeah.
I wasn't very impressed at all for a lot of reasons that don't even necessarily have to do with Xbox. But we're both Xbox gamers. You've been an Xbox gamer for how long?
My whole life.
Your whole life, exactly.
Yeah.
I haven't owned a PlayStation since the PlayStation 2. I mean, I owned the PlayStation 4 for like 2 months to get to play through The Last of Us and No Man's Sky when it first came out. But that's it. But that's literally it. So essentially what I'm saying right now is before I go on my stupid little rants that don't amount to anything and nobody should ever take seriously, convince me why I should get an Xbox because...
Man, I can't convince anybody to get an Xbox. The main reason I have an Xbox isn't because I prefer the titles or I prefer the platform or I prefer anything necessarily about it. I prefer the fact that my friends play Xbox and I want to play with my friends.
That's major. That's major. That's the only reason that some people need to get an Xbox.
Yeah.
And
if your homies and the people you enjoy being with, the people you enjoy playing with, have an Xbox, buy an Xbox. If they have PlayStation, buy a PlayStation. If they have a PC, build a damn PC. Like, that's what it boils down to me.
I like it, especially since multiplayer is kind of the centralist focus of gaming
Yeah.
as a whole right now. But number one, before I even go into this, the console wars it's just fucking stupid.
It's stupid. There's no purpose to it.
No, there's none whatsoever. I post a lot of memes about it for whatever reason. People think that I'm being very serious. I like legitimately offended people by a console peasant meme.
It's Twitter.
I know it is.
It's Twitter. You offend people by existing on Twitter. Like, come on.
That's the absolute truth, unfortunately. But the console wars, the whole thing is stupid. Play what you want to play, enjoy what you want to enjoy. Life's too short to get caught up on this. No, I'm Team Xbox. Who the shit cares what team you are? You need to be team having fun and enjoying your own time.
I mean, some people just don't draw a line when it comes to competition. Competition has to permeate every aspect of their life. So even opinions are a competition to some people. So, if that's the way you are, then have fun, berating someone for liking PlayStation over Xbox. Do you, whatever. But, don't be mad when you get clapped back because your console's just the same as the other, pretty much, because there's not that much difference.
There's really not. The specs, I mean, Xbox has a little bit better of specs, but is it really enough? Is it even enough to really think, well, they've got better specs, I can't go PlayStation now?
No, it really comes down to people and titles. And the titles on Xbox, like you were saying, they were kind of disappointing. Halo Infinite definitely looked cool. I've been off the Halo train since Bungie left. I played Halo 4, and it was okay. Like it was okay. I wasn't thrilled about it. And after you play through a Halo campaign, the whole point is the multiplayer. So if Halo Infinite's multiplayer is good, then it might be worth getting. The other games, the new IPs that were announced, definitely looked pretty cool to me. Like the one that kind of looked like what was it called? Disavowed, the one that was kind of like Skyrim-esque, like that.
Yeah, that did
that cool. To me, when that dude, his hand like went all magical and he like cast that little spell, I was like,
That was cool. He had that whole little Doctor Strange thing going on.
Yeah, he like wrapped it around his wrist like he was about to go torment Dormammu or something.
Nice.
I've come to bargain.
Nice reference, by the way. I don't get a lot of comic references out of you. I like that.
It's occasional.
Right. But, essentially, just going back to the console wars thing real quick, obviously don't ever take them serious, people. Like it's just stupid. The memes I post are just for fun because they're funny. But however, I think it's worth a discussion, however small it may be, because there are a lot of people out there that don't have the money to get both, and they're on the fence.
Yeah.
They don't know which one to get. And I know this to be true because, number one, I go through the thousands of mentions I get a day, but I'm also one of these people. I am 100% one of these people who I'm not completely sold on Xbox. If they were to go on sale right now and I had to pick right now, I would pick PlayStation.
Yeah.
Yeah. And a lot of the reason is just the exclusives, man. The exclusives for Sony are just, I feel like they're light years ahead of where Microsoft is.
I've almost always been light years ahead of where Microsoft is.
Yeah, they really have been. And I'm not saying because, they built this Uncharted, not Sony, but Naughty Dog and the actual developers. Actually, but for the exclusives, like they built the Uncharted series.
Yeah.
Like they built the exclusives. They made them, it was a nothing, and then they turned it into something.
Yeah.
So I'm not saying that Microsoft needs to go out and necessarily purchase a bunch of studios, which I want to talk about, by the way, too, because I think they should.
They did a little bit. They've bought several studios now. It was like last year and year before, they were buying up studios, like smaller studios. So
okay,
we'll see.
Well, actually, let's just go ahead and talk about that right now. My biggest argument against Microsoft right now is just 100% the exclusive. The exclusive games don't do anything for me, and one of the things that they've been rumored to buy, and I actually pulled up a couple notes here, they've been looking to invest in, along with just about everybody else, it seems like, but WB Games.
Yeah.
So WB Games, a lot of people don't understand the kind of titles that WB Games has. Mm-hmm. So I just want to run through.
We're talking about Warner Brothers, right?
Yeah, we're talking about Warner Brothers. So I just want to run through real quick just a few notes of what would happen if Microsoft did come out and actually buy WB Games, which is still a real possibility of it.
Absolutely.
Okay, so we're talking about Avalanche Studios, who is producing this highly, it hasn't really been pressed yet, but the hype around it has been real for this new Harry Potter RPG.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so that's Avalanche Studios, and this is just the top games from these studios. WB Montreal, which we already know, we don't know, but the next Batman game.
Yeah.
They're going to be doing the next Batman game, and it's possibly going to be called Gotham Knights. Well, it's rumored to be called Gotham Knights. I don't think anybody really knows what it's called. But anyway, it doesn't freaking even really Batman.
Matter what it's called.
It's Batman. Exactly. That's just WB Montreal. And then you go over to Rocksteady Studios, who is openly working on a new Suicide Squad title. And Rocksteady's done a lot of other stuff, too. Also, NetherRealm.
Oh my God.
NetherRealm. Mortal Kombat.
Every time I see NetherRealm or hear NetherRealm, I can see their logo. Like I can see the eyeball with the every single time.
Sound effect and everything. Yep. Yeah. But okay, so we're looking at right now, if they were to buy WB Games, which the bidding price right now is $4 billion, Microsoft would have to turn over $4 billion to do it, which they have the upper edge on their competition between like EA and 2K Games and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Like I don't know if those companies would be willing to actually dish out $4 billion, but Microsoft, I 100% can see a scenario where they dish out $4 billion. So we're looking at the Mortal Kombat, we're looking at Harry Potter games, we're looking at Lord of the Rings games. Don't forget about that, Shadow of Mordor.
Oh my God.
And Batman games.
Man, give me
in one swoop. Microsoft. I don't think they level the playing field then, because what Sony has done with exclusives is already established with Uncharted, Last of Us, and stuff like that. That's established. We haven't seen this Harry Potter RPG. Lord of the Rings, Shadow of Mordor was a great game.
Excellent.
But we haven't seen much else.
Shadow of War was good too.
Yeah, Lord of the Rings has actually had a couple of good games.
Yeah.
But I would want to see what they're going to actually do with next gen. And then Batman, of course. So, so you got Spider-Man versus Batman, the exclusives going off.
Yeah.
This is... I don't even want to say this is an answer, but it would be certainly a step in the right direction if you're looking for some really, really cool exclusive games.
I think so. Absolutely.
Yeah. So I don't know. They have to make a move, because I think exclusives is what's ultimately going to decide this console war.
I mean, you just
stupid ass console war.
You really can't. I don't think Microsoft has the option to just pull IPs out of thin air. Like new, interesting, well thought out, well published, great games that haven't been heard of and aren't owned by someone else already. So like you say, they're going to have to make a significant purchase in order to get these titles and these studios on board with them. And I think it's worth the investment.
Yeah, I think it absolutely is, especially just to counter Spider-Man with Batman. But, okay, well, first of all, number one, as far as I know, this deal hasn't been done. And supposedly, by the way, at DC Fandom, August 22nd, there are rumors, heavy rumors, pretty much confirmed that there's going to be a new Batman game announced. So I can't imagine this one would be console exclusive, like even if the deal was done with Microsoft to bought WB games, because these things, as we've seen with Marvel, buying 21st or Disney, rather buying 21st Century Fox, these things take years and years to happen. Yeah. So I think any of the games that are actually in the pipeline now, including the new Harry Potter RPG, a new Batman game, and if the Suicide Squad game is actually real, I think those are gonna stay and they'll be multi-platform.
2025 probably.
Yeah,
it'll be a while.
It'll be a while, but you got to make some moves now, man. You got to make some moves if you're Microsoft. I think that's the biggest thing hurting them. But I also want to bring up to you, because one of the biggest complaints that I saw throughout people was the graphics. The graphics for Halo Infinite. Now, neither you or I are very graphic-driven people, and I'm willing to stake my reputation, which is very, very small, by the way. I'm willing to stake my reputation that the majority of gamers actually agree with us.
I think so. I'll stake mine as well with you. We'll stake together.
Yeah. I think the majority of gamers actually would concur with that. That if the story is good, if the gameplay is good, if the multiplayer is fun, then who really cares what the graphics look like? But with that said, man, the Halo Infinite, there were times when watching that where the graphics look like Xbox 360.
I don't agree with that completely, but I mean the render distance alone, like how detailed it was and the distance that could be seen, was far better than anything we've seen on, well, at least Xbox 360. It's not, I will say it is only marginally better than what I saw on Xbox One. Marginally.
Marginally.
So, but it wasn't running at max, I'm pretty sure.
Well, and this is a legitimate argument that people have brought up, including Andrew Wall, who I do the other podcast with, that, there's, 4-5 months out from the actual release of Halo Infinite now. If they, by coming out and not showing a finished product right now, by actually saying hey, this wasn't fully complete yet, but that's not a good sign, and that's an argument that a lot of people made, that it's actually not going to get a whole lot better for that, at least for this title. Yeah.
Well, I mean, you look at the games that came out when the Xbox One first released, and none of them were that graphically impressive, except for Forza. Forza was one of the console releases that came out with, I can't remember what that term is, when a game releases with a console, but it was
launch title.
Launch title. Yeah, there it is. Thank you. That shit looked amazing. I was blown away, but things have just continually gotten better since then. Destiny, the difference between Destiny 1 and Destiny 2, 2014 to 2018, oh my God, significant. So 4 years down the road from now, once developers kind of get a better idea of what they're doing and how the upper limits of these new consoles' capabilities, then I'm sure they'll figure out how to stretch things out a little bit more.
Yeah, that's actually a really good point.
So
I hadn't really considered that, because you're right. When you go back and you look at the Xbox One games from 2014, when the Xbox One first came out, and the same with PlayStation 4, you're right. Compared to where they are now on that exact same console, it's almost night and day.
Oh my God, Spider-Man PS4. Holy shit, that game looks fucking amazing.
Yeah, it does.
And that came out last year or year before last?
I honestly don't remember. It was 2000. I believe it was just last year.
Yeah. So
maybe it wasn't.
It took that long. I mean, there were some other games, obviously, that were really, really good looking for the PS4 at least. But the Xbox hasn't had anything that was all that graphically impressive, other than Red Dead. Red Dead did look really good.
Red Dead is phenomenal. And that game alone, that kind of changes my opinion on what we were just talking about. Yeah. Because I've seen where they were with Red Dead on the Xbox 360, and then 9 years later, where they are with it now. But this brings up another one of my points that I actually wanted to talk about. These showcases, the Xbox showcase and the big PlayStation event that they had. I think that one thing that all gamers can kind of conclude is seeing how well these were put on, and seeing how successful and how many people actually tuned in.
Yeah.
This could be really damaging for conferences like PAX East, PAX West, and even E3 in the future.
Well, if we can't deal with this pandemic, then we're going to have to stick to this anyway. So
Exactly. But I think companies like Microsoft and companies like Sony are watching everything that's going on from the overview, and they're saying, wait a minute, we just saved a ton of money.
Did they, though?
I don't know. I honestly don't know what they are charged by these major conferences to go and present their games there. I would assume that they did save a lot of money.
I'm assuming that they make some money off of like merch and stuff like that they do sell at the conferences. But like you said, I have no idea.
I don't know either. But I still think that seeing how many people actually attended this versus E3. I mean, E3, it's limited. Yeah. You can watch a lot of this stuff online.
It's what, like 5,000-6,000 people because it's like 3 separate days and you can only have like a certain amount per day.
Yeah. It doesn't make much sense for me that these conferences are going to continue to go on. Yeah. It doesn't. I don't see a scenario where long-term we're all, getting hyped up for E3 again. Maybe if they do some kind of online version, but what we're seeing, and Nintendo's been doing it with Nintendo Direct, PlayStation had their big exclusive show, and now Xbox had their showcase. They can reach even more people by almost taking this out of the hands of the conferences. I agree. And I think that could spell some trouble for them. I think the writing's on the wall for some of these conferences, especially because let's just say that we have a coronavirus vaccine by the end of the year. Yeah. Okay. It's going to take a long time to get that vaccination to everybody. Yeah. The people that are even willing to do it.
Yeah, which is not a lot of people.
Which certainly doesn't feel that way now. And by the way things are looking, either way, that's not even worth talking about.
No.
But it's like where we are right now, like this is going to be the standard for a while. So the longer that this goes on and the more opportunities that companies like Sony and like Microsoft and even Nintendo, who's been doing it for a long time, the more time that they have to kind of focus on taking everything this route, it doesn't spell well for these big conferences. And I think the media, even the media is more for what they're doing now because they can cover it. They're getting some outlines and stuff before about what's going to go on so they can kind of, format their stories and stuff that they want to write. Yeah. But for the most part, they're sending like 1 or 2 people to these events. And now you can have an entire staff of people covering these things from home. Yeah. Which, I mean, I guess you technically could from home or in general back, 2009.
But you would have been behind everybody else. That's the issue.
For the most part, yeah, you would have. So I don't see a situation where this ends well for E3. I don't see a situation where this ends well for the PAX conferences. I think that all digital is just the way of the future because even when we have a vaccine, like this is going to be like, it may not be to the point where it is now, but where we are right now as a society, that's going to be a new norm.
Yeah. No, things aren't going back to February of this year. I don't think we'll ever be right back where we were. I think things are always going to be progressively different every year for the foreseeable future.
Yeah. Another big takeaway that I had from this event, and this is more so just from reading all the mentions and stuff like that we get. I'm trying to think of how I can word this so people don't get pissed off. Fuck it. People are going to get pissed off at me anyway. I don't think I enjoy these events. I enjoy seeing all the trailers and stuff like that, seeing what's coming up. But I think gamers are done falling victim to these cinematic trailers.
Oh, absolutely.
Like the amount, look here. Let's just go through. And by the way, Sony, what I'm about to say, Sony did the exact same thing with theirs.
Everyone's guilty of it.
Yes, I'm just bringing up Xbox, their showcase, just because it's the most recent and the most relatable here. Yep. Okay, so let's just go through this. We got 8 minutes of gameplay from Halo Infinite. Yep. That was awesome. State of Decay 3, no gameplay. Forza Motorsport, no gameplay. Everwild, no gameplay. Tell me why, no gameplay. Grounded, Avowed, As Does Fall, Stalker 2, Warhammer, no gameplay on any of those. How many times have we been fooled in the past by seeing these awesome cinematic trailers? I'm thinking Anthem. I mean, Anthem looked fucking phenomenal.
Even the gameplay footage looked good.
Yeah, it looked freaking awesome. So how long? Like these things are fun to see. I think gamers enjoy
Captured in engine. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, captured in engine. Yeah, and like another good example of that is the Spider-Man game.
Yeah.
If you remember the cinematic trailer for Spider-Man,
incredible.
It was incredible, and then the gameplay looked like they just like cut back on it completely. And, but I think gamers are starting to get, while they enjoy these cinematic trailers, the most common response you see on Twitter to all these trailers is actually, well, there's no gameplay.
Yeah.
There's no gameplay. We don't know how that's going to be. This is a cinematic trailer. We don't know. And while I do enjoy these cinematic trailers just because it gives you an idea of what's coming up, they're absolutely right, Micah.
Yeah. I mean, all of the Destiny, man. Destiny, in the beginning, every time a cinematic trailer came out, I was like, oh boy. But now I'm like, I don't care. Like you guys have made your next update look so cool so many times through your cinematic trailer, and then like the cinematic here's the gameplay all the way over here, and then here's what the cinematic game trailer made it look like it was going to be. You know, it was bullshit. So I'm not like, it's not a movie. Video games are not movies. They're not TV shows. So give us an in-game look of what we've got going on. I mean, I know they don't want to spoil anything, and I know they have to put things together in like a certain way, so they are, only going to show just enough to get your interest peaked. Yeah. So
yeah, it's a marketing strategy. I get it, and I'm glad they do it. I enjoy the cinematic trailers.
Yeah, they're fun.
But the fact of the matter is, gamers, we're not falling for this shit anymore.
No, I'm not going to buy a game off of a cinematic trailer.
No, especially nowadays.
No.
We've been fooled and we've been tricked too many times by what these cinematic trailers look like versus what we actually get.
Yeah.
And again, I want to be perfectly clear that I really enjoy these cinematic trailers.
Yeah.
I really enjoyed this Xbox showcase, just seeing everything come in.
Pretty.
And the same with PlayStation. I enjoyed the hell out of both of them, but I think gamers are really getting fed up with it.
Mm-hmm. I agree.
I don't think this is based on my mentions. I know that gamers are getting really fed up with these,
what's the point?
Yeah, with these big events. Like if you want to show us a cinematic trailer, by all means show it, but then turn around and show us a couple minutes of gameplay.
Yeah,
like like they do. They show the trailer and then they usually have somebody up on stage that's just kind of like guiding you through the gameplay and stuff like that.
Yeah,
I think that's necessary for these events. I don't think that these events. I don't know because it's still too early. Most of these games, like we don't even know when Fable's coming out.
Yeah. No.
Did they even give a release year on that?
I think they were just like, Fable. Haha.
Yeah, here it is. We're working on it. Okay, we're still years away, so they're not necessarily showing this to get us excited. I mean, nobody's sitting here. I don't think many people saw the Fable trailer and be like, "That's it, I'm getting an Xbox."
Yeah, no,
I don't think that happened at all.
You saw a pixie get eaten by a frog, and you're like, Fable.
Yeah, it was funny. It was a good trailer.
Yeah, it was a good trailer.
Yeah, I enjoyed it.
Man, Stalker 2, though,
yeah.
I was like, yes, sign me up. I'm here for it.
Looks all right.
It's a
Did you play the first one?
Oh yeah, it was only on PC, but I got to play it at my friend's house, and it's fun. I mean, it's a horror game, and I don't typically like horror games, but just the setting and the historical ishness of it, it's pretty cool because it's about Chernobyl and the possibilities of radioactive, mutation and stuff like that, and surviving in a wasteland. And there's something about surviving in a wasteland that just sounds supremely attractive to me, even though if I was actually having to survive in a wasteland, I don't think I'd be having a great time.
Nobody would be.
Yeah, I don't think anybody would be having a great time, actually.
I love Fallout.
Oh, I love it so much.
I love the games. I love the Fallout series. I think Fallout 4 is, I don't even know if it can be considered underrated, but just by the amount of trash I see people talk about it.
I just didn't like it as much as the third in New Vegas.
But you started, where did you start?
On third.
You started on the third?
Yeah. I started with 3 and went to New Vegas, and then I bought Fallout 4 as soon as it came out because I was like, oh boy, a new Fallout game. And then I was pretty disappointed because it wasn't like, it just, I don't know. I think I tried to go for the nostalgia factor, and it was a new game. It wasn't about nostalgia. It wasn't about what they did.
Developer, wasn't it?
No, same developer.
I thought it was different.
No, I'm pretty sure it was still Bethesda.
Okay. Well, yeah, Bethesda. I'm thinking.
And ZeniMax, right?
I don't know.
I'll have to look. I don't remember. But yeah, it was the combination of the perks and the settlement system, and it felt less like you were just a survivor in a wasteland and more like you were trying to rebuild the wasteland. But you couldn't even do that. it felt like you were trying to be pushed towards building the wasteland, but they didn't even give you the ability to. They just were like, hey, you can build a base here. Turrets.
Essentially. Yeah, you're not wrong. You're not wrong by any means.
I was there for the story, man. I was there to do side quests. I was there to find really wacky stuff in the middle of nowhere that I would have never thought of before. I didn't care about having a base, but I get why that was kind of attractive to put in the game because it's survival, so having a base to survive out of is kind of a cool idea. But I swear to God, if I ever hear Preston again.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, they overdid it with a little bit. But see, okay, for me, Fallout 4 was the first Fallout that I played.
Okay.
So that was my first introduction to it. But now that I've played some of the other ones, like I get your argument.
Yeah.
Like you're right. It's essentially almost a completely different game.
Feels like it.
Than what it is. You need to get on Outer Worlds.
Yeah, I know. I need to. That's probably next on my list. It's on Game Pass, so
oh, man, it's so worth it. I finished up Witcher 3, and now I'm finally... Actually, because I bought Outer Worlds when it first came out, played it for like 2 hours, enjoyed it, but just for whatever reason, I just never picked it back up.
Believe it or not, I'm still on No Man's Sky. A lot of us, as we get older, we don't have time to just pour 3-4 hours a day. Like I maybe get like an hour to play a day, and then one day a week where I get to actually invest several hours into gaming.
Yeah, I think that's a good point to bring up because I know I'm the same way. I get about an hour a day. If I sometimes not even that, sometimes a little bit more, but on average, probably about an hour a day. And I think that's typical for most gamers right now. I don't think we're getting the amount of time that people are. And I posted, by the way, something just a couple hours ago. It was like a Family Feud meme that said like something about what is something a true gamer would never say. Oh, and I hate the phrase true gamer.
True gamer.
I hate it, man. I feel
gamer girls aren't real gamers.
No. I hate that. It's so cringeworthy. The game True Gamers. Like, if you play a game, consider yourself a gamer. Nobody in their right mind is putting, like, oh, no, on their resume, like, excuse me, sir, I'm a true gamer. I'm not just any regular gamer. Like, nobody's getting a job offer because of that. Be like, well, you weren't going to get the position, but now that we know that you game 15 minutes a day more than Jamie over there, you got the job, sir.
For some people, it is a mindset, though, because there were two guys that were a little bit older than us when it was a clan that we had in Destiny 1. And they ended up getting really, really pissed off and leaving the clan and saying a bunch of really mean things to us because we were Destiny elitists. That's what they called us.
Destiny elitists.
We were elitists because we tried to play the game the way the game was trying to tell us to play the game so we could be better. Because we just wanted to get better and get better and get better, and they just wanted to play the game for fun. And for some reason, there's this clash between people that feel like if they put a modicum of effort into a game, it is all of a sudden trying too hard, and then they're not having fun. But for me, part of having fun in a game is actually trying hard, It's like working.
Yeah.
That's where the fun is like having a release, getting something for your effort. Whether it be
accomplishing something,
yeah.
That's
but
fun.
then there's people like if you're better than them at a game, they automatically assume it's just because you're an elitist and you play way too much and you've just got way too much time on your hands. And I'm a real man. I have a job and all this stuff, and I don't have time to just sit here and play video games all day long. So,
first of all, if you are shit talking somebody on any video game,
for trying too hard.
Any label that you have about being a man or about being anything. If you're a girl and you're saying, I'm being a... fuck off. Yeah. like for real. You just look stupid. Yeah. You're just coming off dumb.
At that point, yeah. So, I mean, I get it. It's frustrating when no matter how hard you try, there's people that are better than you at what you have fun at.
Welcome to life.
Welcome to freaking life. Because, a lot of games that I've played, I've always end up being, in the higher tier. But there's always people better than me. There's always a bigger fish. You can't escape it. I'm sure Shroud, who is one of the best FPS players in the world, I'm sure there's people out there that could wipe the floor with him.
I had no idea I was doing a show with a Destiny elitist.
Bask in my glory.
You were like the Illuminati of gaming.
Exactly, yeah.
Oh my God. Elitist. Destiny elitist. Fuck's sake, man.
My goal is for one day for someone to call me a Minecraft elitist. That's
Did you play Minecraft?
Oh yeah,
I didn't know that.
I love Minecraft.
Minecraft's awesome.
It's a freaking phenomenal game.
I think it's phenomenal.
Even
I've never played it, but I love what they're doing.
Even
with it,
Minecraft, it is just virtual Legos in a world setting. Like,
by the way, another series that the Lego series is another one that Microsoft
and WB.
Yep.
Oh my God.
Forgot about the Lego series.
I did.
Am I wrong?
No, I don't think you're wrong. I think you're right. I think it is WB.
I think so.
My God, they could make so much money off of that. It's insane.
See, just one swipe move here. Come on, Microsoft. And by the way, I want this to happen because, well, number one, part of me, I'm 50%. 50% of me wants Microsoft to buy WB games because higher competition means ultimately a better result for most gamers. Yeah, we all get the better end of the deal. Everyone's pushed to work a little bit harder to get that stuff out. So I think from that angle we are, but at the same time, when I look at something like even Spider-Man, but then I look at something like Batman and even Mortal Kombat, something that's been like a treasure. I don't think they'd ever go exclusive with Mortal Kombat.
I doubt it.
I don't think they would, but
like
you aren't going with it, right?
Yeah.
Like, I don't know. It feels off to say, well, Batman can be here, and like now, even the Avengers games,
exclusives, man.
See, I do. I don't care. I wish I didn't care.
I don't want them. I don't want exclusives to be a thing. Like, why can't we just have the same games on every console? Like, why do publishers get paid more if they are just one console? Like, it doesn't make sense to me why you would want to ostracize half of gamers just for what? And the new Avengers game that's coming out with Spider-Man, did you hear about that?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I heard all about it, and I think fans actually have a right to be kind of pissed off about that.
I'm kind of hurt. Like Spider-Man, he's like one of the coolest characters in the Marvel universe, and now Sony gets him because screw us, I guess.
Yeah. I mean, who's Xbox going to get? Vision? And by the way, I don't know if that's true at all. I mean, I don't know who they're going to get exclusively.
I don't think we're getting anyone exclusively.
I don't either. That's the thing. They're getting more than just exclusive characters.
Yeah, they're getting content too. But I it's it just doesn't make any sense at this point.
I agree.
Why?
Especially something like that. Especially I feel like it would actually be a beneficial move for Sony to include Spider-Man in the entire thing. Yeah. Especially if they're going to use. I don't know how this is going to work. I don't know if this is a completely different Spider-Man from what they're doing in their solo series. If it's the same one in a way. I get it a little bit more. I'm still not crazy about it, but I get it because you're continuing on a story and such like that. But I feel like in a situation like we're talking about here with the Avengers, I feel like you would want to pull more people over from all of a sudden Microsoft people get a chance to play as Spider-Man. Like if I got that chance, having not played the last Spider-Man game, but having been a fan of Spider-Man, I would be like, wow, I should really consider getting a PS4 because this is a lot of fun to sit here and play as Spider-Man like this. It makes me more intrigued in the game. I don't understand. I mean, I do understand. I get why the character is exclusive, but at the same time, it feels like an unnecessary shot.
I just need some web slinging action in my life, brother.
Little web slinging action.
I just need to
get a little web slinging action there.
You
need something. You just got off nicotine.
I did.
How's that going?
The first week wasn't super fun. It's gotten gradually easier. I think it's kind of different for everybody, but my appetite shot up ridiculously in the first couple of days, and my sleep changed. I wake up earlier now and feel rested. Like I go to bed at 10 to 11 every night, and I wake up at about 7 o'clock every morning, and I feel great. Before that, I was waking up 8:30, and I was groggy and icky feeling because I would sit there. I would go to sleep and vape. And then I would, wake up in the morning. Apparently, my wife would get upset with me because apparently in the middle of the night, I would pull my vape off of the nightstand and hit it and then just leave it in the bed with me. And I have zero memory of picking it up at all. Like I did it completely autonomously, which is not something I want to be doing. So that was kind of the straw for me, was that I was getting to the point where I was trying to do it while I was asleep. So that morning I decided to quit. I woke up and I was just like, today's the day. And I just picked up my stuff, threw it in the trash can.
And that was it.
And that was it.
Wow.
And
it takes a lot, man, to just straight up quit cold turkey like that.
It's been rough. It's the thoughts that are the worst part of it. It's the just desire for it, that like the little voice in the back of your head that's like, hey, you should go get one. You should go.
Well, you never did cigarettes though, did you?
No, it was just vaping for me.
Okay.
But I actually used vaping to get off of tobacco products when I was 18.
Right.
Because I did for like the first 6 months after I was 18. Because when you turn 18, you start using nicotine stuff. You're like, hey, I'm an adult.
Right.
And then 7 years later, I'm still addicted to nicotine, and even though vaping is technically better for you than smoking, there's no doubt about that.
Yep.
Like any other kind of tobacco product, all the carcinogens and everything that come with that, it's significantly better for you. But better for you does not mean good for you. Better for you means marginally better than something that's terrible for you.
Right.
Yeah. So I feel better physically. I can think clearer. It took a little while for the fog to kind of leave.
Yeah.
It's really interesting though, because I didn't realize this while I was using it, but it actually kind of, I don't have a good word for it, toned me down, like dampened my my emotions a little bit.
Right. You said something interesting though. You said that you actually, and I know a lot of people can relate to this, but while gaming,
oh my gosh,
like you used to, like, how much do you think?
So much.
How much do you think hitting that vape pen actually contribute to the addiction of it while you're gaming?
The last Saturday, because I was telling you, I play like a good bit every Saturday night. That's like my gaming night. I usually sit there for 6 or 7 hours and game, and it was driving me crazy because that last Saturday night was the first night in 7 years that I'd play video games without nicotine, and I felt it immediately. The first match of Call of Duty I got into, as soon as I died, I was like,
did you start shit talking people?
no, luckily I have enough self-control that I don't get like angry, and I don't feel the need. Like I'm a firm believer of, if you don't have anything nice to say, don't say anything at all.
Right.
Kind of, I'm trying to like live with that vibe. I've definitely gotten a little spicier though. Like, gotten a little bit more caliente.
Yeah. So did it almost, in that sense, knowing that you didn't have that vape pen with you, did it almost make you like not want a game?
Not really. No, I still wanted to play.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, alcohol helps.
Alcohol always helps the situation.
Yeah. Until it
don't
doesn't.
Substitute one.
Until
no.
it doesn't.
Don't substitute one for the other.
No.
Yeah, man.
No. I'm like a twice a month drink kind of guy.
Oh yeah, quitting anything that is addictive, both psychologically and physically.
Yeah.
Man, that's a whole different ball game. That's an whole different ball game. And I think that something that people don't actually take serious is that video game addiction is a real thing.
Oh, absolutely.
And I know
it's an escape.
I'm comparing like apples to oranges here, talking about smoking and playing video games. But some people really do have a big problem with
That's why I would
video games.
love to talk to a psychologist about it.
Yeah, we're going to have
Just
to.
because I find myself lucky that I don't have like a serious issue with it. Like it's not like a drive for me. Like, what's most important to me is the relationship I have with my wife and my family and my job and who I am as a person. If I just like had nothing but to hide in a video game, to escape in video games, like there's like nothing else after that. Like you eat, you sleep, you work, you play video games. Like you need to have a balanced life. And if you're completely out of balance in one way or the other, it's going to affect you negatively, either, down the road or, soon.
Yeah. And I think this is, this goes back to my conversation with Mike Wilson a couple months ago, CEO of Devolver Digital. We were talking about the addictive properties of microtransactions.
Yeah, we talked about that a few weeks ago.
Yeah, and again, that can lead to a bigger problem with becoming addicted to gaming. It's
that's a gambling addiction. That's like a gambling addiction and a video game addiction. I feel like are a little bit different, but they can be tied together.
Yeah, just like a ton of things can be tied together. Like the reason I asked if like when you stop smoking, if you just lost your desire to kind of play, is because I know people who have quit drinking, and for whatever reason, like whenever they'd go play video games, like they'd get that 1 hour a night that we were talking about, and whenever they'd go play video games, they'd pour themselves a drink or two, or 3 or 4
or 4 or 5.
Yeah, I don't say that jokingly, unfortunately. But that was their connection to it. That's what made video games more interesting to him. That's what helped them draw them into the story or whatever scenario that they're playing in, even if it's just multiplayer.
Made them more conversational, so they felt like they had something to say.
Exactly, and I think that plays a big part of it. So, I think that tying, I guess that this would be more from a psychological angle, but from actually like tying like the use of alcohol or the use of nicotine in with gaming, it kind of opens your eyes to, why am I really playing video games here? Is this really about an escape, or am I now using video games as an excuse to drink, or am I now using video games as an excuse to smoke, even weed? I know a lot of weed smokers that do it too.
Oh yeah.
So it's definitely something that I wish more people would take seriously about.
Yeah.
And it's difficult for me to say anything because
at least just
it's a
be
meme page.
Aware, you know?
Yeah, you're right. Yeah, just be aware of it. Yeah. Because even just being aware of it. You don't have
to be afraid. Like, live your life and enjoy your life, but be aware of the dangers around you and how moderation is key in everything.
Moderation is key for everything. You're right. I wish, because people don't take the account that seriously, and I get it. I posted like 75,000 gaming memes. I wouldn't take it seriously either. I would love to actually talk, put more stuff on there about video game addiction, but it's just instantly just brush aside. Like, oh no, get that nonsense out of here. You're anti-gamer if I post something about gaming addiction. It's like,
well, people are so quick to like snap at the news media and white suburban moms for blaming video games for 9/11 or whatever they blame video games for these days, because obviously the correlation is not causation kind of thing, but there are obviously going to be issues like we're talking about with anything, and you have to be aware and careful and thoughtful about yourself, your mental health, and your physical health, and the physical health of your family,
Right. And by the way, I'm very much on the side of video games do not cause violence, but like anything like that, there are cases where it does. Like, we can't sit here and pretend, and this is no reason to ban video games or anything like that. It's just people react differently to different scenarios. People react differently to different things that they put inside their heads.
Yeah.
I mean, I've seen people, the majority of people who I know who smoke weed, for the most part, 95, 99% of them are perfectly fine. But then there's that 1%
that's not.
That's not. Like, they can't handle it. Yeah. And while I know that comparing weed and video games or anything to video games essentially because it's so unique, I understand why people would be like, well, you can't compare the two. It totally makes sense. Yeah. And perhaps I shouldn't, but I'm using this as an example of we are all such individuals and we all react to everything differently, that saying that, well, video games didn't make me angry is not going to, it's not gonna, it may not be the same for you or somebody else.
You may be more emotionally mature than someone else. And emotional maturity, I've learned, is a massive thing in the human race that people seem to ignore. Like, there's maturity, being a mature person and then being an emotionally mature person are two vastly different things. There are lots of people out there that are mature.
Yeah.
Hardly anybody seems to be emotionally mature.
Yeah.
And that is something that video games really kind of play into, is if you're not emotionally mature, or at least have some kind of degree of self-control, you can really fly off the handle over nothing, over something that does not exist.
Yeah, and by the way, I have anger issues when it comes to video games.
Yeah.
I mean,
are you a thrower?
No, I used to be.
I've never thrown a thing in my life.
Like, I was in like my freshman year of college. That's the only time. That's the only time I've ever done it. And it was over a game of Madden, which is incredible. That's a whole other topic on its own. But I mean, but I get worked up. Like, if I'm going through a story mode and all of a sudden I get to a point that I feel like should be super easy, but I'm struggling with it.
Yeah.
I will talk out loud. I will sit there and talk shit to that game. like there is no tomorrow. I will sit there and just badger it until I drive myself nuts, until I have to turn it off.
Yeah.
But so to say that somebody, just because I'm not that person, but to say somebody else might be in that position and couldn't take it a step farther.
Yeah.
I'm not saying like, again, I don't think in 99.9999999 of people, I don't think that video games cause violence.
No.
But I think there
are outliers.
But there are always outliers. There are outliers to everything.
And it may not be the actual cause. Like, I think there's a difference between causes and triggers. You know, certain things that may trigger something out of someone that, a word even can cause some people to just melt down. So some people just might be a ticking time bomb, and then that one video game is what finally lit the fuse.
Yeah.
You know? So it's hard to say that you can actually like definitively point at something, a video game, and say, this caused this, or a movie.
You can't. Like it's almost impossible to do that.
Like the Batman screening in Aurora. Like, people tried to blame the movie itself for what happened that night, but it wasn't the movie. That was just a really disturbed person, you know?
Yeah.
So it's amazing how we just like to make things make sense. We want to have a reason for things happening. We want to have something we can point our fingers at and say, this is why this happened.
Yeah.
It makes us feel more secure.
Yeah, you're right. That number one, that's human nature.
Yeah.
And while I do agree that the people who point to video games, I do 100% think they are wrong.
Yeah.
It is human nature to look for something that, okay, well, let's take a step back and look at video games.
Yeah.
Let's look at a game like Grand Theft Auto.
Oh,
like, it's incredible. Yeah. If you were to take Grand Theft Auto back to the 1950s and show a group of parents there, 10 out of 10 of them are going to say, "There's no way I can let my teenager play this."
The developers would have been burned at the stake.
Absolutely. Yeah, it would have been Salem all over again. It would have been a modern version of the Salem witch trials. So it's just, well, they actually weren't necessarily burned at the stake in Salem. But enough history aside. The point is that you're absolutely right, that people, if you take a step back and if you're somebody that doesn't know anything about video games and all you know is that your kid, that your son or your daughter is starting to play video games, and you walk in the room and they're shooting up a strip club after they just, dropped off the prostitute in the back alley. Like, you're going to sit here and think, wait a minute.
Walking down the street, just blindly firing into traffic, like, that's obviously going to be of some concern to someone who doesn't know any better.
Yeah, exactly. If you don't have the psychological background, or if you didn't do any research, if you're just basing everything off your initial reaction, if you walked in and you saw your 13-year-old son doing that stuff, you're going to have some questions. You're going to panic a little bit.
Yeah.
And I'm not going to say that's understandably so, because I think everybody should do their research on things like this, especially since the topic of video game violence has been around for so long. But I think I understand where the parents are coming from, and while I do think they are wrong, I can't sit here and say that if I were in their situation, if I were in their scenario, having very little background with gaming, knowing very little about gaming, and I saw that, I can't say that I wouldn't react in the same way.
I can't say I wouldn't either. I think we had a similar conversation recently. Like, ultimately, what happens in your home, like what is brought into your home, is ultimately up to you. So as a parent, you have to decide with your own discretion what you're going to allow your child to see. But if I went back and I wasn't such a sneaky boy and was able to, manipulate things and get my way and play games that I shouldn't have played as a kid, I would love to understand how different my brain would be right now.
Yeah.
How differently I would think. So we don't really know long term what kind of effects these have. I mean, luckily, I feel like I'm a pretty decent person. But
I mean, you're a little bit of an elitist.
Doing it right, yeah, obviously. Yeah, I gotta get over that. Oh man.
But it's a very tricky topic to talk about.
Oh, it really is.
Because from both sides, we all forget to put ourselves in the perspective of the opposing view.
Yeah.
And I think that's necessary.
Put yourself in someone else's shoes for once, man.
Yeah, I think it's especially necessary. Now, the issue that I really take, that I will put my foot down, is when this tries to become political. When all of a sudden we have politicians starting to toss out, just hinting at, well, maybe we should go take a look at this video game situation. Maybe this is the reason. It's like there has been violence. There has been violence long before there has been video games. There was, you see the funny tweets all the time. Like Genghis Khan did, he didn't go and wipe out, a percentage of the human population because he got beat in a Call of Duty match. Nope. Like that did not happen.
Nope. And he's not like 75% of our ancestor because of
something stupid like that. Yeah, it's a ridiculous amount. And so when we start trying to politicize video games and start using it as a political point to win votes or pass legislation, that's when I have to put my foot down and say, okay, we have real scientific studies now that show that 99.99999% of the time, video games are not the reason why your kids are out there being violent or doing something stupid. And the fact that we continuously go back to that, and a lot of it is because of the people who are in office are like the people who we talked about. They don't have any experience in gaming. They don't know anything about video games. They don't know about the psychological effects of playing video games. All they know is that kids are controlling something violent that is happening. It's not affecting anyone, but surely that has to be playing a role on what they're doing. And from a political level, if you're a politician and you're the one that is making the rules here, you better be able to look at this from both sides. And we're not seeing that. In politics today.
We're not seeing that out of people today.
You're right.
We have
a people problem.
We have lots and lots of people pointing fingers, but hardly anybody looking at themselves.
Yeah.
So have a little self-awareness, America, and we'll be a lot better off.
Have you ever played a game where you're going through it and you're like, okay, this may be a little too much? I personally haven't.
The first mission in Modern Warfare 2 was too far, in my opinion.
Oh, no Russian.
No Russian. Yeah, that
you're right. Okay, that one.
That was unnecessarily horrible.
That one. How did they get away with that? Man?
I have no idea.
Dude, seriously, looking back at that,
how did Russia not have? I mean, it's Russia, but still, we don't know what's going on over there.
How did they not? How did that mission get through? And listen, obviously, I don't think that mission caused any violence whatsoever.
No,
it was. I mean, it's one of the when you're talking to other gamers and you say, what is the first video game mission that comes to your mind? That's going to be a lot of them.
Yeah.
They did it because it sticks in your memory we know the reasons why it sticks in your memory. You're shooting up an airport of innocent people. And this was only what, 6-7 years after 9/11?
Yeah. Like there's not many games that I've played personally where you've actually like straight up just murdered innocent people.
That was straight up murder.
Yeah.
That you're right. Grand Theft Auto. I mean, you can literally.
Well, yeah.
Oh my God, you're driving down the street.
But that's
Grand
their
Theft
thing.
Auto.
That's their thing.
Like that. That's what they made it off. I think they made the people. The civilians that are walking by, they made them so outrageous. Like they made them where they like if you walk by and you bump into someone, they're gonna say some smart ass
just
comment
ridiculous things to you.
Yeah, and the whole reason they did that is so you would retaliate.
Yeah.
So, but with this no Russian mission, I honestly I don't know if that were to come out today.
Yeah.
And even with this past remake, there was no controversy around it whatsoever. Everyone was talking about it's like, oh, we're gonna get a remastered. No Russian. Oh shit! Like, I mean, how is this going to go? And there was nothing.
It's so low key. It was just kind of rolled out and it was just like,
this was in the middle of a pandemic.
Yeah,
that it came out remastered, but I mean, we had the internet back then. I mean, Twitter and Facebook weren't near as popular, but we had all of that back then, and no Russian. I am really surprised that kind of squeaked through.
Yeah, me too.
Ugh. Yeah, but you're right.
I mean,
that was I cringed a little playing that.
It was a good story though. The overarching like everything that happened in the story. I feel like they really wanted to show that. They wanted that to be the thing that started the whole story in Modern Warfare 2. Like they wanted that to be the mission that defined what the story was going to be, like the tone of the story.
Right.
And it did. It totally did. It made the game surreal. It made the game very serious. And then when you see your homeboy get shot by, what's his name, the commander, the dude you trusted, you saw him get shot in front of you.
Price, yeah.
Like that was the most like what kind of like story moments in a long time for me. And I mean, occasionally you still have some of those. And even in the most Modern Warfare campaign, the most recent Modern Warfare campaign, there was some pretty like hardcore stuff in that too.
I'm trying to think because I know I played it.
There's that part where you're charged with torturing that guy. And you like the guy like brings his family into the room, and you have like the opportunity to like kill his family in front of him. Like what? That's pretty hardcore. Right. But no one mentioned that.
Wow, I forgot about that.
Yeah, that mission. Like obviously you have the choice not to do that. You have the choice to let him go. And of course, like most people probably went that route. but that's still like just to give people the option to do something that terrible can't be very emotionally good for us, you know? Can't be.
You're right.
Can't even be that good for the people that had to program it.
You know, it's a lot, and we're talking about video games, so I think it's only fair that we also bring up the counterpoint, which is movies.
Oh yeah, there's terrible movies.
The Joker.
Too. Yeah. Oh yeah. Oh god.
Oh my god.
Oh my god. Yeah.
Like I walked out of that. I loved it.
Yeah, it was great.
But man, I walked out of that like, oh.
Okay.
Like,
all right.
Like that.
Yeah.
That was a whole different perspective.
Yeah.
Than maybe what I was expecting.
Yeah.
And it's the same way with video games. So we've proven time and time again, humanity has proven time and time again that it's just a very, 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 very small percentage of people who are actually negatively impacted by pop culture, essentially.
Well, it's just people that don't have a buffer between what's, you know, actually real and what's not.
Yeah.
They have, the line is thinner for them, you know?
Yeah, we got to get a psychologist on. We really do.
I really
want one. Well, because I want to talk about a lot of questions. I want to talk about violence in video games, which I know is not a popular topic. The first ever podcast issue I did on, this was like 2018 on this account. It was right after a school shooting, right after they started blaming everybody. And I went all in on it. And I was very, very pro video games, like presenting facts like this isn't what it is. And I got torched.
Oh, I'm sure you did.
Torched. For even bringing it up. They're like, I don't want any politics in my video games. It's like, well, literally,
leave it out.
Literally every video game ever has connections to politics. Yep. So I don't know why you're necessarily complaining about that.
And every developer is trying to make a statement.
Yeah. Yeah, nowadays especially.
Oh, yeah.
Well, you know, whether you agree with it or not, this is the climate that we're in as far as video game development goes. So, I don't know.
Be interesting to see the future. I hope we get less sensitive.
I think we will. I think that we just hit this peak where everything kind of combined, like social media coming into play. I think social media is the main culprit here. I think we will. I think as the years go on, as we get more inclined to be less reactionary towards social media, I think everything will kind of calm down. But right now, if you're a video game developer, I would say you're walking on eggshells, but hell, you just shot up a whole airport in Russia.
Yeah. And, well, I think they're walking on money.
Sure. Well, a lot of them are. Some of them still aren't. And by the way, I got to give a shout out before we bounce out of here. Mike Wilson, Fall Guys, the new indie game.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
I'm so sad that's not on Xbox. So sad, because I want to play it so bad.
It is phenomenal, and I got to give Devolver Digital and Mike Wilson a lot of credit on this one. And this is, he actually tweeted this out.
Yeah.
That feeling when an indie game outsells Taylor Swift's new record in the first 24 hours.
Pew pew.
Thank God. Nothing is Taylor Swift. I love Taylor, but I think this is fantastic that we see an indie game doing what they're able to do right now.
Yeah.
And man, well, I couldn't ask for a greater company behind it to do it.
Absolutely.
Mike Wilson, just a phenomenal guy. How many guys are going to come on and talk about psychedelics? Talk about using psychedelics for 45 minutes. CEO of a major gaming company.
Maybe Elon Musk.
Elon Musk,
maybe.
I bet he does some psychedelics. Actually, I know he does.
Yeah. Before we wrap it up, there's one little thing I want to add.
Add it.
As some of you may know, some of you may not know, my wife is a vet tech, which means she's a veterinary nurse. She has taught me so much about pet care, and I know a lot of you people have dogs and cats and whatever. This is a little pro tip for your dog owners out there, just for how hot it is right now. You may not know this because you probably don't go out on your blacktop out in the parking lot with your bare feet, but it is black and it absorbs a lot of heat, and it is significantly hotter than the air. Our dogs have very soft little paw pads. Those paw pads can melt. They can literally melt. And I promise you, you do not want to have to wrap your dog's paws up in gauze because it is not a fun time. So if you are taking your dog out for a walk, don't let them stay on the blacktop long. And if you have to, just pick them up and carry them across it. You may feel a little ridiculous, but it'll save you money in the long run and have a happier pet.
I love it. You are the Bob Barker of gaming.
Yes, sir.
Spay and neuter your pets.
Damn right.
Damn right, man. I love it. I love ending on that note. By the way, while we're on that, and I got to get your wife's opinion on this too, but I want to get yours while you're here. Do you judge a game based on whether or not you can pet the animals? Go.
Oh, sometimes, yeah. If there is a cat or a dog that's like obviously animated to be something you run into and you can't interact with it, that's just lame.
All right. Fair enough, and I agree. By the way, there's a whole Twitter account. I don't know what it is, but it's just dedicated to whether or not you can
pet a dog.
You can pet it. Maybe it's not a Twitter account. Man, there are so many good gaming Twitter accounts out there. I really need to start promoting more of them. But there's one that and I want to get them on the podcast. For their whole Twitter account is based on whether or not in this game you abide by the Geneva Convention.
Oh yeah, I remember that.
It is hysterical. I gotta look at the name. If anybody knows it, just throw it in the comments. It's absolutely hysterical. It's just a brilliant idea for a gaming account. My God, we need more stuff like that.
We do
out there. Like it's something that nobody would even care about generally.
Just more positivity.
And now they're getting thousands and thousands and thousands of engagements just by tweeting at it. But I love it, man. We're gonna be back soon.
Yes, we are.
All right. We will be back. Let's do it next week. Let's do another one next week.
No more hiatuses.
No more hiatuses.
No more hiatuses.
Well, that was because, and by the way, shout out to Rhodes microphone. We're trying to set this up here to where we can actually get some guests on, and because we're doing everything in house here. Like you see, Micah, same studio. So what we're trying to do here is it's going to take 2 mixers in order to do this. And so I had to order another mixer from. I've actually ordered 4 mixers. None of them worked because why would they? That would be way too simple for them to work to actually connect to another computer. So we could actually bring on real guests, bring on this psychiatrist like we've been talking about, and a lot of other big name people in the gaming industry. So we had to take a little bit of a hiatus to try and get some of the technical stuff figured out. Still got to get you a new camera. I know we got to get you this 1080p. It kills me, man. But there's nothing available.
That's just not good enough.
Everything's sold out, man. There is not a single good camera available on Amazon. This was literally the best that we could do. So,
well,
is what it is.
I don't know if you guys can handle this face in 4K.
Ooh. All right. Well, I think that's a good note to end on, sir.
Auf Wiedersehen.